Happy Thursday, everyone. I am Pastor Mike Matthews, and I have a special guest today on the show. It is my lovely wife, Sara Matthews. I promise I won't make any cringy pastor jokes about my sexy, hot wife,
Oh my gosh.
because those are always cringy when pastors do that. But today's episode is really an important one. We are going to be talking about limping in love, how to what makes marriage work. Next month, Sara and I come up on a year of marriage. This is the second marriage for the both of us. We were both previous married in the past, so we have had a lot of learning and growing to do. And I wrote a devotional earlier today on our Facebook page called the same title about um, how to love well in marriage. So let me for our video audience for our video audience, you can please go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe. That helps us push our, YouTube will push our content out to more people, help us to reach more people with the ministry. That would be great. So we're going to get into it. We're going to be talking about what makes marriage work, and what I'm going to do is um, uh, we're going to talk about like this verse that reads, "Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance." Sara and I joke saying that God put 10 years of marriage in 1 year. We had to take care of her dad that got really sick. We had to travel between two cities at first, but when we got married, I was still living in an apartment in Washington, PA, and it took us a couple months before I could move to our home. So we were traveling back and forth. Uh, we were dealing with health issues of our own. I made my own ambulance trip a couple times because I accidentally took too much of a medicine. That was fun. So Sarah, you got anything to add about that? About our first year of ups, downs, good?
Um, just your typical adulting. Merging
Yeah,
two lives is not easy.
yeah.
Um, I don't have kids. He has a son. Learning to step parent. Dealing with um, fallout from being a widow. Dealing with navigating step parenting with his ex and biological parent, and just being that supportive role for his son. Um, just kind of navigating things and uh, jobs, finances, communication, our relationship. I
Yeah.
think that that a lot of things, in order for it to be successful, or in order for everybody to come out um, with the highest and best for everyone involved, it takes a lot of navigating, and also we also are learning things about ourselves individually,
Hmm.
and growing and healing from our past, and that never stops. So I think having two individual people that are on individual journeys, and being in a marriage, and then dealing with everything in a marriage, there's a lot to navigate there. So
Hmm.
it takes a lot. My dad had a heart attack and stroke in the middle of all that. We all got COVID.
Hmm.
I mean, it was just a lot. So dealing with all that, and money doesn't grow on trees. I think
Yeah.
that sums it up. I mean, I think that we did a great job, but as far as you know, I can't believe that we haven't even been married a year yet. Uh,
Yeah.
that's coming up next month. I feel like we're going to be celebrating our 25th wedding
Yeah.
anniversary.
So the purpose, guys, for this episode is, you know, the whole mission of Limping for Jesus is we recognize that we are all limping in some aspect, and relationships leave us limping. I came in to this marriage healing from my first marriage. Excuse me, my first marriage. My first marriage ended at the same time that I had to leave my first pastorate. So you could tell that you hear a scenario like that, there might be some relational limping that I came into the marriage with, and Sara did a good job at loving me, and because no matter who you are, when you go into a new relationship, and if it leads to marriage, and we're looking at it as it is going to end in marriage for you. You bring in your triggers, you bring in your past hurt, you bring in your past emotional scars. We carry every person that we have ever loved with us to some regard, good and bad, good and bad. So when we talk about never giving up on each other, uh, uh, always having faith in each other, always being hopeful for each other. Uh, this is what this verse is talking about. Because marriage will face hell. It will. Like when we say that we have felt like we had 25 years of marriage experience in the first year, um, and not one time. I just want to get it out there. Not one time did Sara or I think like it wasn't worth it. I want to quit. Uh, uh, that's not what we're talking about. But every marriage could get to points where they're tested, and a lot of people, like as a pastoral counselor, there's markers when people usually give up on marriage. It's either after year 1, year 7, year 15. Uh, because year 7, because these like transitional periods is when life gets harder. Like it could be it's about money, it's about kids, like, and it stresses you out. Like 90% of marriages where one of the spouses have a disability ends in divorce. It's like 90%. So there's a lot that as a spouse that you can deal with. Like we have all these factors going on in our marriage that if we don't have this type of love for each other, to understand that we are both messy people, that um, like if you're the kind of person that goes to God and prays, Lord, change them and I'll be a better husband, you're missing the point. So I know. So
I
never
think
giving
to
up.
add to that,
Good.
you know, well, I had a train of thought. It's been a long work day, so excuse me if I have a brain fart. But your spouse is going to disappoint you. Your spouse is going to hurt you. They're going to say something that hurts your feelings. They're going to act in a way that disappoints you. They aren't going to meet any of your expectations without communicating. They're not mind readers. And I like the saying that your spouse is not your therapist, is not your maid, or your ATM card. So,
Amen.
you know, we all have filters and we all have triggers and we all have our lives. Marriage is two individuals coming together to merge together and have a marriage. Just because you're married doesn't mean the individuality in that life goes away. So you have to be mature enough and also understand that when they say something to hurt your feelings, sometimes it may be intentional, but a lot of the times it probably isn't. If you're in a partnership and in a healthy marriage, I'm sure it's not intentional. I mean, we all do and say things sometimes to hurt the other person when we're mad. That happens. And then we need forgiveness. But, in a good marriage, especially ours, I don't believe that we have intentionally said anything to hurt each other's feelings.
No,
Um,
it's been
mhm.
accidental triggers.
Yeah, because and you don't
Yeah.
know when you've triggered someone unless they communicate it. So I think for us going into this, when we were dating and courting and going through our journey, we talked a lot about our past triggers, and we were both knowing we were going into this with triggers, and we'd both been in therapy. We knew what they were. We were on a healing journey. You're always on a healing journey. You're never ever quote unquote healed. So I think that it's just to be open and willing to learn about yourself and how your behavior affects the other one. And then also, as you go, you're learning how to communicate. I think that Mike's going to get into some of those points a little bit later. But
yeah, well, that goes into like communicate how you receive love and be willing to love your partner the way they receive love and not the way you receive love. A lot of couples do this backwards. If they love giving gifts, they'll try to give gifts to their partner, and then they're frustrated. Well, why don't you like that thing I bought you? Well, that's not their love language. So like in Sarah's case, and my like
we're
because of
very
my
different. We're very,
yeah
very different in how we receive
yeah,
them.
but I because we are prone to try loving the way we want love. Like words of affirmation, every one of us needs to know from our loved one that we're loved. But for me and my upbringing, I need to know. I need to hear it more. I need to know, like, Mike, you're a good man. You're on the right track with God as a leader, as a pastor. Like, but for Sarah, her love language is physical touch and quality time. So for me, in my upbringing, I could go weeks without being hugged. I'm
He
okay
could
with get
he
it.
could be in his man cave for 6 months by himself playing Xbox, or being on his computer or whatever, and like text me a word of affirmation, or bring me some flowers or something, and be like, okay, cool, because that's what he would do, right? But I'm like, I need that quality time and that physical touch. I am
Yeah.
an affectionate person, but I also, as I've gotten older and matured, I also need my alone time and the time to be introspective. So there's a balance there. So I don't need to like constantly or whatever. And I recognize his need for alone time. I suggest that before anybody gets married, it should be a requirement for you to read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It really is spot on. Men absolutely need man cave time. And then we also need, we have our what they call the women's well, where we just need to feel secure. We need to feel like presence from our spouse, especially our male husband. So it's just communicating, hey, I've had a really hard day. I need to know that I'm not alone in this world. I need you to hold me. Or, you know
Yeah.
what, tonight when we go to bed, I need you to cuddle with me for, until I fall asleep. I just need to know that you're here. Don't need it every day. But that doesn't come naturally for him. So for me to expect that from him without me communicating, hey, I need this today, it wouldn't be fair to him for me to be like, oh my God, he doesn't love me because he's not doing it.
Yeah.
So
Well, last week, Sarah was having a rough day. We're in a tough financial season right now, and I could just tell she was. Excuse me. Oh my God. Okay. So I could tell she was hurt, frustrated. Uh, so I just went over to her on her side of the couch and just held her for a little bit and let her talk it out because she didn't need me to try fixing anything.
mhm.
She needed me to just be there for her. And
When women vent, we don't realize that a lot of the time men tend to think they need to fix something when we vent.
mm-hmm.
And so the book also says, when you need to vent, make sure you're communicating that you need to vent, that you don't expect them to fix something, that you're not trying to dump on them, you're not trying to make what your emotional distress at the moment their problem. You just need to talk it out, and you just want them to listen and give you a hug. And
I call that words for the wind because sometimes we say things we don't mean when we're hurt and we're stressed out. Like oh, I hate my boss. No, you don't really hate your boss. You're just stressed out right now, and I'm not saying Sarah hates her boss.
No, I love my boss. I have the best boss in the
Yeah,
world, actually.
I'm just saying anything like like there's times where we say things like in the Bible, Elijah, after a victory he had, he was so tired and defeated and scared that he just got done having this great God moment where he was so distraught. He says, "I God, just kill me. I'm ready to die." And God's like, "You know what? Slow down. Why don't you take a nap and eat something?" So, so that's all we need to like. God
See,
modeled
that's
this for
biblical
us.
advice. Take a nap and eat something.
Yeah.
Have
So
a glass of
so
water.
but like there's times where in my example, I have been one that has endured a lot. But because I have endured a lot in the last couple years, I have had to go through like compounded traumas. I sometimes will text Sarah and say, "Do you love me?" Because I need to hear it. I need to hear it. Like what like with my disability, being a pastor and a leader in Christianity, we all know that there's a segment of Christianity that would look at me and say crazy stuff like you don't have what it takes because you need more faith to be healed. So
I want to punch those people, by the way.
yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna punch him too with palsy hand and say it with a spasm. So excuse me.
And then to
So
me, when he says that, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I have a gift that one of my spiritual gifts is encouragement. So, or being an encourager. So I am like that naturally. So the words of affirmation and giving that and like trying to encourage people, I do. And so maybe sometimes too much, but knowing when he needs to hear it is important because I can say it, but there might be times that he needs to hear it and he's in his own head. And one of the things is like when you're in your head is when you should communicate to your spouse. A
yeah.
lot of Mike can speak to this from the man's standpoint, but women also can, like, when a man is expressing their feelings, um you know we don't need to fix them. It's not our job to fix them or change them, but it is our job to listen to them and love them through it and ask them if there's any what they want to do about it, what they feel they need for help, and be there for them. So I think that it's important that the communication of, hey, when you're in your head, let me know. Like, don't keep it in your head. And I think that's important for all of us too, because I tend to go introspective. I used to just word vomit and talk to my friends and talk to the people around me about what's going on in my head. And through therapy, I really learned that I need to self soothe and I need to be able to validate myself. And so now, in this stage of my life, in the last few years, I really go introspective. So now I can be in
Mm,
my head. And Mike knows me well enough now to know he knows just how, like, I'm listening, like where I'm at, my body language, to know like when I'm in my head.
yeah.
To be able
Yeah.
to pull it out of us. And then that's when I might need a hug, or he might need to be told that he's loved and appreciated and admired and encouraged and so talented. So that's just the difference in being able to communicate that. But if your spouse doesn't trust you with the stuff that they have in their head when they're in their head,
Yeah.
you're going to have a big communication problem.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about her blowing smoke up my butt or being a
Right, and that's
narcissist.
one of the reason that word for affirmations is not probably one of my big love languages. As a baby and as a kid, my dad held me. My dad held me a lot. I always felt really secure in his arms, and I was just how I've been my whole life. But also, I've been bullied. I've had a lot of trauma. I have a lot of
Yeah.
parental trauma and things and issues with my mom and family stuff. I mean, a lot of that. And then even through a lot of rejection as an adult, I've been told a lot of things and not followed through with. So to me, words of affirmation, most of the time, can't be
Yeah.
trusted. So it's
Yeah,
just
well, let me
takes more
circle
work.
back to
Yeah, go ahead.
let me circle back to my point because I think people need to hear this. Like, we're not talking about I'm not talking about feeding some narcissistic need in me. I'm talking about
Mhm.
trauma in me that was like things have been said to me, so crazy stuff in my life,
Mm-hmm.
that my internal monologue is, I always blame myself for stuff that goes wrong. I think my inner monologue tells me that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't belong. That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about here. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking about here like uh, I need to have my wife tell me I'm the greatest uh, things in sliced bread,
Right.
because that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah,
We're
it's the
talking
things
about
that we say to ourselves in our heads that are our negative self-talk. And to get out of our
because
head and to process it externally instead of internally when we're in that situation is important.
Yeah, because I just want to make that clear, because I don't want people to listen to the podcast and hear like, oh, he's another egotistical beta white Christian male
No.
that needs to no, because your spouse also helps you with constructive criticism and
Mm-hmm.
tells you words of affirmation. Like, we always joke about Will
I can be
Smith.
blunt, good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah,
In love.
yeah. It's great most times. Um, so, so,
I'm always
so,
truthful though with it. I'm not like mean. I just call it like it is. I just
yeah,
can't help myself.
but she says like she won't let me pull Will Smith at the
Yeah,
Grammys.
I told him if he was gonna go up and smack Chris Rock that I would hold him back and not let him do that to ruin his
Yeah, because that moment in time you can see where a narcissist is one of the partners and have beaten down a spouse to the point where that's Mac and Chris Rock. I know he has a special coming out and he'll probably talk about it, but that's Mac and Chris Rock wasn't about Chris Rock. It was about Will not feeling loved in that relationship. It was about that relationship stress.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't have a relationship where it's you two and God versus everything else, that kind of stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's
Because
classic covert narcissist victimhood.
because because if you can't feel safe with your partner, you know that you're not gonna lash out at them, but you're gonna lash out at others because of them.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of weeks after that Grammy fiasco, there's a video of Jaded filming Will and trying to get him to come on her podcast. And he said, and he goes, "Will you please stop filming me in my house?" And she was saying he's acting like a child. So that shows you that a high profile couple does not have this type of love relationship where we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
because Sarah, if Sarah, like, if I don't feel safe in my home and like I'm respected, I'll pull back. Like
Mm-hmm.
like like I would never, like, these couples who make fun of each other on social media or prank each other or smash cake in the face at their weddings. I can tell you how it's going to end. I can't. I can't tell you when it's going to end, but it's going to end because you can see there's no love there. You know, this whole love chapter is love is kind, love is patient, love does not think of its own, love is not rude, love is not arrogant. Like, all that type of behavior, like letting your spouse wreck their career, like Jada did, that's not love. That's not love. That's she got something out of that by seeing her husband destruct in front of millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone watches the Oscars anymore. So the tens of people that were watching it. So
Well, we all saw it on YouTube afterwards, so I guess
yeah,
millions is
yeah.
fair.
Well, that's the only thing that came out of it. Case in point, who
That's
won
why I thought
movie?
it was for ratings. I
Yeah,
literally was like, so like it's fake. It's got to be fake because no one watches the Oscars and they're trying to create buzz. I really thought it was fake. And then I was
Yeah.
saddened that it wasn't fake. I wish it was.
Yeah. So yeah. I can't tell you one movie of the year that, because everyone was focused on that, and so that is an example. I just wanted to go down there, but I just wanted to say that because I see these Christian content makers, couples that get on podcasts together, and you could tell the man's a baby. You can tell, like, what he says goes, and you better not hurt his ego. That is not what we're talking about. Sarah, in our relationship, has checked me, and I've checked
If
her.
that's what he wants, he married the wrong person.
Yeah,
It's not.
I don't.
We are of a true partnership, and I think that you know, I don't know. It's just
Well,
it's so
well,
different.
well, case in point, like I was at a church for 4 months as an outreach pastor, and in a different situation, I would have kept going. It was a wrong situation for me as a pastor. It was not working out. And I came home and I was prepared after a tough meeting to stay at the church. But I came home, told Sarah about the meeting. Sarah was praying for me all day. I had a tough meeting with the pastor and the elder, and then she goes, "Mike, you need to leave. You need it's not a good situation for us." And that is an example of me heeding the advice of my spouse, who also has the Holy Spirit, guys. So so because if you women this way, and I've seen men this way, you cannot be domineering to your partner. You cannot just be like, "Well, I know better than you. I'm going to do whatever I want." But Sarah, and I'm going to tell you the blessing of this. Uh, the podcast and the ministry has really taken off from that day,
Mhm.
and then that's just an example.
I just knew I had seen it way before. Like even when we first got together, like I knew Limping for Jesus was what he was meant to do. God was showing me the future. God was showing me what he's so good at. And to see to see his gifts and talents just absolutely thrown in the garbage, I won't stand for it. And as his wife, I'm going to say, "Hey, you know what? Like, this is how I see it. You obviously you're a grown adult. It is your choice at the end of the day, but this is how I see it. This is what I think that we should do. Pray about it and ask God what He thinks you should do. And when you get clarity, make the final decision for yourself." And Mike's done the same for me in certain situations.
Yeah,
So I think that just knowing and seeing like I come from a Christian background of okay, I had it like growing up kind of, but to be truly saved, I was an adult and I have discernment and I've I guess grown in that and continue to and learn what it is that it is and um like now I understand how to pray and use my gift. But I think that just being able to see like the people that I would associate myself with, real people, real hurting people that have been through a lot of crap, that feel judged by the world and especially Christians. Having gone through so many different churches, and I can tell you there's a lot out there that are cult like. I'm not perfect, never will be, don't pretend to be. And I'm very real and authentic. And I know a lot of other people are very real and authentic. And those people flock to Mike because he's real and authentic. There isn't anything anybody could say about anything in life to Mike and him judge them one iota. And to be that able to show God's love to other people, I'm sorry, I just like I can't stand for for him to be put in a box. So I keep encouraging him and being like, you know what, I think that babe, you need to be in a platform where people can have access to you, can see see you, hear you, talk to you, ask you questions, get resources from you,
Yeah.
and feel God's love through you and through your content. So for me, it was just very, very easy to be like, babe, let's focus on Limping for Jesus. I think
Yeah.
this is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, and that goes into my next point of never losing faith in your spouse. Like, she believed in me. She believed in my gifts. Because what life tries to do to us is when circumstances get hard, it starts making us look at our spouse side eyed. And this is where, and I'm just gonna be honest with people. This is when parasites to the marriage can come in. It could be a coworker, could be a chat online. The people will start to try feeding pieces of your heart that you feel like your spouse is not meaning, and that happen. It starts with small seeds of doubt about your
Mhm.
spouse. So never lose faith in your spouse. Never stop believing in them. Even during there are like for example, Sarah and I have both this winter have been crazy. And we have both had episodes of depression. Man, I hate when I record and start having burps. Okay. We're real here, guys, so I'm sorry. So I promise I won't try to fart on camera, but because you gotta pay for that content. Um, so so so,
That's
so
for our paid subscribers.
yeah, so yeah, only policy. So but no, so there are times where like life gets hard, and sometimes your partner is uh it could be anything about marriage. Like I have seen people ruin marriages over times of poor health, where the other partner can't have sex for whatever reason. For me, this
You're lag,
limping
babe.
Jesus after dark. But for
You're lag,
me,
babe.
huh? What, babe?
You lagged.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna wait. Are you? You're frozen. You're coming back. I hate when it.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. So I don't want to make this limping for Jesus after dark, but for 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 example, sometimes your spouse cannot be in a place where they're healthy for sex. Okay. Are you lagging again?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So for me, when it comes to sex, it's not about health. For me, it's mental. When I'm in a depressive episode, or I'm thinking about stuff, or I'm stressed out about life, I'm not really in the chicka wow wow mood. So 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 you know, Sarah is very grateful to me, uh, um, and she'll give me grace. But that's just one example of when people give up on
Well,
their
again,
spouse.
our partner isn't here to they're not our therapist, they're not our maid, they're not our ATM card, and they're not our sex slave. I mean, we're all human. We all go through periods of having high sex drive and not high sex drive. We all get sick, we all get injured sometimes. We're human beings. So I think that in order to expect your spouse, male or female, in any situation to do anything or to perform a certain way, or to serve you in a certain way is BS. They're
Yeah,
not there to be all for you, and um, if you're not taking their needs and happiness into consideration, um, whatever. I mean, as we age, sometimes people can have sex until they're 95. God bless them, and sometimes they can't after 45. You never know when that's.
I don't even want to be rocking a palsy at 75. Like I don't want to be that old naked guy in the nursing home running down butt naked because I know my upbringing in my mind. I'm gonna be that naked old guy at 80 years old. Like I
You
just
shouldn't
thinking
get
of
married. You shouldn't get married for sex. You shouldn't get married for any reason other than you really love that person and you want a partnership. And
and that is
if you
a
have a great
good
sex life, that's a definite bonus.
that is a good um note to young Christian couples. Don't get married because you want to get naked with each other. Make sure you love each other and you really want to do life with them.
Yeah.
And I
Sex is a
know
bonus to that. When you are in love with someone and all of them, you know them mind, body, soul, and you can have sex on a mental and emotional and spiritual connection, being evenly yoked and being a partner. It's like nothing.
yeah.
It's like nothing else. So don't settle and don't get into a situation where you don't have all of that because sex isn't worth it without the rest of it. It just isn't.
Yeah. So that goes into our last point, honey, baby, beautiful wife of mine, my rib. Um Yeah, I never knew the whole Adam and Eve story when I was a kid, but because my uncle, whenever he got mad at my aunt, he'd be like, "Give me my rib back." I never knew what that meant until I read that verse in Genesis. I went, "Oh, okay." Oh, and he wasn't even Christian, so I don't know why he used that joke. But okay, so our last point is endure through every circumstance.
Again. I hear you breathing.
I can't help it. You're frozen.
Well, I can hear you.
Well, I can hear you too. Look, guys, you're seeing us put our podcasts in practice. We're talking it out. Like the video babe is telling me like I have like 1 bar of Wi-Fi, and then the devil's coming down. The devil's flashing. Maybe the rapture is coming.
I don't know. It is warm outside.
You're not. You're not. You're not. You haven't unfroze yet.
Yeah, you haven't unfroze either. I just see your face, but I can hear you on the computer.
Oh, it's working on my. Okay, guys. So we'll keep talking. I can't. There's nothing we can do right now. So as long as the audio is still going. So let's talk about enduring through every circumstance. So I think back to when your dad moved in for a while, and then we all got COVID. That was a rough time. Okay, you're back. You're moving again.
You're not moving yet, but maybe you will in a second. So in July, my dad had a heart attack and he had gotten a clot, and he had been having it for a couple of days, and then he had a stroke afterwards. And my mom and my sister were going to the hospital every day, and I was kind of helping navigate the health part of it. Then he went into a rehab facility for the stroke, and he actually had 2 strokes. And my mom, I had just gotten over having the flu for a couple of weeks, and I had tested negative for COVID. And then my mom got sick, so I figured she had the flu that I had. And I went over to her house and made her some soup and took it over to her. And I also got her medicine, and then she coughed on me. The next day, she called me to tell me she tested positive for COVID.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
So my vaccinated mom gave me I'm unvaccinated. My
Okay, don't get us banned on YouTube. don't I don't need that. Like no,
So
like
they came down with COVID. Had COVID for a couple of weeks.
everything they have told us about COVID was not a lie. It's true. YouTube, I don't care. X-nay on the vaccine.
The government talk is a different situation. But anyways, they got me. I didn't have COVID yet, but they had COVID, so they couldn't take care of my dad, and he was being discharged. And they didn't even have any energy to like do anything to get the house ready for him. I mean, he needed a hospital bed. He was completely dependent on us. So, and we didn't want him going to a nursing home. I tend to think that nursing homes are. Anyway, I won't go there. But anyway, he wasn't going to one over my dead body. So
Keep
because we couldn't get him
talking.
to his house, you're back. You're moving again. Because we
Am I?
couldn't get him into his house, we had him come here, and he needed 24-hour care. So my mom and my sister, once they were getting better from COVID, were coming over. But me and Mike got COVID in the meantime. So I was still taking care of my dad while I had COVID. And it was fun. It was just a great, fun experience. So after we all got done with COVID, then we were all dealing with our family drama and us being in the same place 24 hours a day. So it was very stressful, and Mike really got to know me and my family intimately.
Yeah, I've seen your dad's penis more times in my life than I would ever. I'm good. I don't like if I go
I'm good too, but
if
he
I
needed.
go no more, if I don't see that thing anymore in my life, I'm good.
I think that that wasn't even the worst part of it. I mean, I would change a million dirty diapers in a heartbeat, but having my mom and my sister and I in the same house 24/7 is just not good for anyone's mental health. So yeah, and then I had my heart issues. I have had an enlarged heart. And I got high blood pressure after COVID. So I was having cardiology follow-ups. It was just a disastrous mess. And then Mike wasn't working. So he got over COVID. I mean, everything just compounded, and it was an absolute cluster. You know what? So, anywho, my dad is doing better, but and he's home. We moved him in October, so he was only with us for about 6 weeks at my house, and then we got his house ready for him, and he's doing a lot better. Thank the Lord. But and we got through all that. We're all still alive, and we're still married, and
Yeah,
so I think
and
that
no more dad penis shots.
more
It's
dirty
good.
diapers.
We're gonna
Most
go good
importantly,
for
no more mom and sister, me
yeah.
in the same house 24/7.
Yeah, and I mean it was a mini nursing home.
It was.
We
My
had
living
no
room was a nursing home for one. It was. It
yeah.
was set up exactly like one.
So that's a great example, but
It was hard.
yeah. So to end things, Sarah and I, we're not rookies at marriage. We're coming into this. We both were married previously, uh, uh, 14, 15 years. I bring a son into the marriage that's 12, going on 16. Love the kid, but there's preteen years make me doubt my faith sometimes. But no, but
He's a
we
good
are
kid. He's just 12 and testing boundaries like he should be at that
yeah.
age. But
Yeah,
he's a sweet kid.
test them somewhere else. So I no, I kid, I jest. So
I'm the third party. I'm outside, so I still think he's a sweet kid. I mean, he does get a tooth
no,
every once in a while.
he is a sweet kid, but he
He
got
is.
my
He's a good kid.
he got my sarcasm. I feel like God is paying me back for how I was when I was that age. So I heard a great thing about Mr. Rogers today about parenting our kids. Parents forget who we were at that age. We forget that we were 12 once and what we were feeling and what we were experiencing. And when we remember that, that will help us parent our kids with grace. And it will help us to grow too. Like my son's going through a lot the last couple of years, and he's not, and to expect him to so-called man up
Yeah, I know.
as like I'm 41 years old. The way I handle trials are totally different than a 12-year-old, and a parent needs to know that.
Mhm.
So, but that's a different podcast. So to end this, by no means are Sarah and I experts on marriage. We are two
It's a day
people.
at a time, and
Yeah, we are two.
it's work, but it's worth it.
We are two people who love Jesus. We love each other, and we're taking this life one step at a time. But we hope today has helped you to understand that you're not alone, that your spouse can be trusted, and that you should limp and love together. So yeah, that's pretty much all we have today. I if you don't have any do you have any closing
Well, I
thoughts?
think that you can't do a blanket statement on I know that everyone's situation is different. If you're not yet married and thinking about it, I just suggest that you do your homework and make sure like there's all of your bases are covered, your mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. But also I just want to really encourage each and every single individual to do your individual work. If
Yeah,
you should be able to answer yes to this question. Can you sit by yourself, with yourself, alone, without a phone for a week and be able to self soothe, to be able to enjoy your time, and to be your own friend? If you can do that for a week and it doesn't scare the ever loving shit out of you, get married. If the answer is no and you're afraid of your alone time and you didn't know what you would do, your whole house would be remodeled in that week, get some therapy and start reading a book, because your partner is not going to be able to validate you the way you want them to validate you.
yeah,
Is not going to be able to spend every waking moment to keep you occupied. And you're going to drive yourself and your spouse crazy by trying to keep yourself distracted from your own emotional problems.
yeah.
So be able to be your own friend, be able to self-soothe, and be able to be a true partner to your spouse before you get married. So.
Yeah, because I heard that reminded me of the saying, stop looking for the right one and become the right one.
You have to become the one.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
going to spend the rest of your life with yourself. You're going to, from the time you're born to the time you die, every moment is with you. So you better like you.
Yeah. Okay. So guys, again, I want to make a quick plug as we end this. Our socials are on the screen now. You can find us on YouTube at Limping for Jesus Ministries, on the Talk of the Tick, or as some older folks call it, Tic Tac. You can find us at Michael J. Matthews. That's my main account where I do some comedy stuff. I do some encouraging videos too. But then our Limping for Jesus account on TikTok just got started a couple months ago. You'll find more Bible verse devotional driven content. And then our website is www.limpingforjesus.org. So until next time, this is Pastor Mike and Sara Matthews saying limp well and limp love. God bless everyone and have a great rest of your night.
Night, night.